retirement is a scam. That's right, guys. Retirement. Do you know anything about retirement? At what age do parents stop working that you've seen?
I think they stop at 60 years old.
If they don't have enough personal savings and they're not comfortable enough and they realize they're going to run out of runway, like they're still living and their savings are getting smaller and smaller, how can I cut my cost of living? You move to places like Mexico, Philippines. I'm sure there's some countries in South America, maybe like Ecuador. There's even mandatory deductions from your paycheck. But in the end, you stay busy doing what you like. If you're going to have a chat with us, just make sure you're clear on what your interests are and we'll take it from there. All right, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Scott here from Filipina-Australian family. And maybe this is one for the guys or maybe girls that are getting up there in age, that it's all about that retirement question. When is it time to retire? You could always just keep on going if that's your interest. For me, let me give my experience on it. I think that retirement is a scam. That's right, guys. It's something that from early on in life was always put out there, like you got to save for your retirement. Banks are all over that. Retirement plans, this and that. There's even mandatory deductions from your paycheck from the Western world, forcing that savings because they think that people can't save on their own, you know, taking care of the lowest common denominator, people that can't think for themselves. And we're just talking about retirement. Do you know anything about retirement?
Yes.
What do you know about retirement?
Those old people that they can't work anymore.
Okay.
And they decided to retire.
Okay. So yeah, retirement is very much your psychological decision to stop, or maybe physical decision that maybe you can't work because of physical anymore. But it's kind of like a certain rhythm of life. Okay. So let's just go through this. First stage of life is what? You build skills, you get skills. You're young, you're enthusiastic, you're trying to get income. You're trying to earn income. And yeah, so by the way, this is going to be me just going through, so you can just learn from this topic. But you might have experienced seeing people like, you know, your parents, different cousins, and, you know, sometimes at some point people stop working. So it depends on the country. Let's go through the Western viewpoint on it, though. So that, like, yeah, that's right. So your 20s into your 30s, at that point, hopefully family comes into it. You know, maybe you've gotten into a relationship, settled down, had a family, all those kind of things. But you're still working, right? You still got to support yourself. And life is, it depends on your ambition, but you could have lots of expenses because you want those comforts of life. You want a roof over your head, obviously. Maybe you want a car, a nice car. And you keep spending and spending and spending in sacrifice of saving for later, like your retirement years when you stop working. So yeah, this idea of retirement being a scam is sort of like, it's a promise, right? And that's what I don't like about promises in life, is that, well, who's the authority? Who's going to guarantee that it's all going to work out? Is it the government? Do you trust the government to sort of guarantee your well-being? Well, you can pretty much come back to or you can fast forward to the point where they're going to say, well, what's my retirement guarantee, you know, in whatever country? Some countries do it better than others, I guess. But in, let's say, Canada, America, there's definitely a mindset of you need to save for your own retirement, for you to be comfortable. Like, you can't really live off of the minimum guarantee that the government gives you. I think they call it old age pension, OAP. So that's where people end up, if they don't have enough personal savings and they're not comfortable enough and they realize they're going to run out of runway, like they're still living and their savings are getting smaller and smaller, then of course it's realistic to look at, how can I cut my cost of living? How can I have my standard of living higher? And you move to places like Mexico, Philippines, although some of those countries are even higher now because of everyone else following that same mindset. So you get this whole dynamic of older retirees or older age people / maybe retirees moving to countries that will accept them. And I'm sure there's some countries in South America, maybe like Ecuador or some of these places. It's almost like, you know, can you get a visa, retirement visa? And the Philippines was always an interesting spot for me because I like options. I like having option A, B, and C. So for me as a Canadian, I exercised my option halfway through my life thinking, I didn't see how this is going to get any better where I was. And that led me to looking at international opportunities. How can I bring my experience elsewhere, maybe where I'm valued more? You know, I speak like an American, so is that going to, you know, get me any better positions in Asia, for example? Or just even my mindset, my work ethic, that takes me a lot further here, I find. And yeah, but the idea of retiring, it's sort of like, yeah, you need money. You need money to survive. You need to pay your way. You don't want to be a burden on others. So hopefully, responsible people are going to find a way to do that. Now, guess what? Lives don't go until 100. Also, you don't know when your time's up. Yeah, nice morbid thought, but you should be able to at least plan it out. So to say, well, best case scenario, you're going to be around till 100. So figure it out, how much per year, and where's that income coming from? So I guess the constructive thing to say is that yes, investments can come into it. Of course, just living paycheck to paycheck works for a little while, but eventually you will have enough, at least some decision to make about. Well, you got, let's say, 10 grand. 10 grand is a nice round number. It's not a lot of not a lot of money. You can blow that very quickly, and you can easily be scammed out of 10 grand also. So you got to be very careful. But that's enough for you to make a decision on what to do next, and either you just keep it away in a conservative investment or something else. So ultimately, I think the thing to share is that pay attention to the happiness factor. It's like retirees, they tend to, if they're not stimulated by things that are going on in their life, not having a great time on a day-to-day basis, or they're maybe struggling with other things, it's not a very happy end. So you want to try to get your happiness underway as soon as possible. So if that means retiring early, yes, find a way to do that, and then, but don't turn off the income source. Don't just be like, well, that's it. I'm not going to be able to earn, and therefore it's just the rest of your life is going to be one ongoing expense. So that's my thinking on it. Now, of course, that's nice to say, but what are the practical examples? Well, someone that's got a skill that you can kind of turn on or off. So if you're a graphic designer, yeah, you can have clients, you can have a portfolio, but generally you can accept jobs from time to time. So that might be an example where, yeah, you pick up some casual work. My parents have got a great example where they, they were in the education system. That's a public sector, teachers, and that's not a job that you should be able to transition and make money after you retire, right? Well, it turns out there's all sorts of privatized education situations. We're talking like tutors and educational consultants, or if you specialize in some things, that expertise is always going to be useful. And if you're an outgoing person, you're not going to have a hard time discovering those opportunities. Once people say, "Hey, well, what do you do?" or "What did you do?" "Oh, I was this. I was a city. I was doing some planning for building projects." And well, like, "Hey, I've got this friend who's working on this, and he's looking for a little part-time help." Once you're willing to let go of your ego, I think that's the number one. Thinking like you're going to have some high mighty job for the rest of your life, and then you can't do anything else after that. Like, yeah, sure, there's probably not a lot of full-time jobs for super, super elderly people, right? Like, but that shouldn't be your goal anyways. So hopefully you're out enjoying. We got, maybe I'll bring in Alabella over here so we can add the Filipina context. So for example, at what age do parents stop working that you've seen?
My parents stopped working.
Not your parents, but like in general, like if you're going to see people in the community, when do you stop seeing them working? Like, for example, a school teacher.
I think they stop at 60 years old.
Okay, 60 years old.
Because that's the age of senior citizen.
I'll give you my sunglasses so you can. There you go. I see a little squinting. So senior citizen, and what happens? Is that because the money is being replaced, or it's just time? It's time to give it up.
It's time to stop working because 60 years old is the age in the Philippines who usually retired.
All right. But how do they support themselves after that?
Maybe their kids.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the missing piece, guys, is that there's somebody on deck to take care of people, to allow them to enjoy their golden years. And it doesn't mean they're on cruise ships. That doesn't mean that the mama and the papa are traveling the world in Europe and living it up with buffet breakfast and everything. It's
like, when let's say when your parents working before, and then you are kids that they providing everything for you, and then of course once they turn like senior citizens can't work anymore. I think kids, especially those kids, are kids that grow up and then it's working. I think they can support their family.
Yeah. So
It's not about traveling. It's about like foods.
Yeah, so that's good, but the money's got to come from somewhere. So hopefully the kids have done the right thing and they've educated themselves, and it's nice when there's a game in numbers. So maybe there's more people in the family to share the load. If it's only a single child and you got the parents that are getting older, well, that's one kid and two parents to support.
That's really hard.
So that makes sense. It's a numbers game. Like,
I feel like if there's only one kid, what if the kid's starting to have family? What's gonna happen to the parent?
yeah, and of course there's going to be situations where that's why there's a lot of money being asked for sometimes. Like the girl is in a difficult situation. She partners up with a foreigner who's got some, small amount of money to give on a monthly basis. And that money is probably going to take care of the family, which includes the mom and the dad too. So, that you got to imagine that's how it's all fitting in. But, for you, the Westerners that are watching, it's like, what's the retirement plan for you guys? Do you really believe that you're going to be taken care of? I think there's some companies that do provide like pensions. So you basically work for 30 years and you put in that last day and you get taken care of for, as long as maybe there's some rules along with that. Maybe does that mean you have to stay in the country? What happens if you want to move to a different country? Does that mean you're still eligible? So I can see it being almost like a little bit golden handcuffs. They give you something, but I think for example, Canada, I think if you try to have a retirement, pull out that retirement savings, this is tiny. We're talking about tiny amount of money, right? So maybe you don't even care, but you almost have to let it go because I don't think they're going to pay you out if you're living out in another country. You have to have some kind of home ties.
You can start
You have to have some.
your own business.
So Ella's idea is to, create your own business, and I would support that idea in the sense, don't worry about making a big profit. Just think of it in terms of sustainability and a little bit of cash flow and an activity. So like I see a lot of guys in the Philippines interested in diving, and I think it's pretty cool. There's a guy, a really cool vlogger that does, Justin, his name is Critters. Something critters of the ocean or something like that. Anyway, he is doing that kind of thing, dive shop, and I think he's been there for many years. So good on him. That's very cool. He's not necessarily retirement age traditionally, so he's probably worked out some kind of early retirement plan. And but in the end, you stay busy doing what you like, and you can attract like-minded people. So
I think before the retirement date come, you should plan out what you can do.
I got Ella's off camera here, giving me some words. But before you retire, you should come up with a plan on what you guys should do, and that's obvious, of course, but don't think that you need to wait to enjoy every day. And it seems obvious. I'm guilty of it too. I put off a lot of pleasure trying to wait to get to that right time, and I guess I did get to a spot where it all sort of came to a point where I'm like, you know what, it's enough. It's enough already. It's enough of the hustle, the grind. I think I can be nimble enough to support myself, my family, and can things change? Yeah. Is it good to have like a rainy day fund? Definitely. Should you invest up until the hilt until you're neck deep in debt? Definitely not, because that's plays into risk. So risk and reward with it all. But I think the main thing is just plan out where you are on a daily basis, and it is possible to move earlier. If you can get to a country like Philippines, or maybe Mexico or Colombia, or someplace that allows you to be there for periods at a time, you can essentially be in the Philippines for up to 3 years. If you can do the visa renewal thing on just a tourist visa, 3 years, it's a long time to sort of reset your life, try out what retirement might feel like. It's like simulation retirement. If you can get a bit of a career break, they call it a sabbatical in some countries. Those kind of things are super, super valuable. And I cannot believe that people work their whole lives. It's a bit of an old school way to do it. No hate, but you can imagine that there's no promises, no guarantees at the end of it. When you're young, when you can have fun, I'm in my, let's say, 40s, and I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I know if I listened to society, I would be in an office in an ivory tower doing something, punching away and organizing meetings and stuff like that. And that is not something that I experimented with not doing it, and it turns out no one cares. You can find happiness in a whole other, set of environments where income's at play and, supporting yourself is at play. So anyway, with that being said, that's my 15 minutes. My time is up. Peace out. Let me know if you want to discuss retirement things again. I got lots of little side things. It involves, generating income on your own, don't worry too much about it. Make sure if you're gonna have a chat with us, just make sure you're clear on what your interests are, and we'll take it from there. See you guys.